Welcome to KUAM's Decision 2014 to the Candidate Buzz. I'm Jess, Lujan, the host of the show. I want to introduce my producer of the show, Casey Conception. I'd like to introduce my guest this morning as well, incumbent Senator Dennis Rodriguez Jr.
Good morning. Good morning.
Democrat, and also a senatorial candidate Republican, Roland Blas.
Buenas and half a day.
Good morning, gentlemen. How you guys doing? We flipped the coin already, and Senator, you won. You just said you're going to decide to kick off, and he's going to be receiving at this point. Okay, so Roland, just go tell the folks again your name, your number, and your platform. You got 1 minute.
Yes, my name is Roland Blas from the beautiful village of Zoltnia. This is my second time running. I ran in 2012, and I still have the passion, the heart to serve the people of Guam, and I'm ready, and hopefully you, the people of Guam, will give me this opportunity, a seat in the Guam legislature. And my platform is to focus on the issues and the needs and concerns of our senior citizens, healthcare for our disabled, and veterans, and also especially to promote, perpetuate, cultivate, and keep alive our language, culture, and heritage for all generations. As we say, may we keep the Hafaday spirit alive, and I am ready to keep it all the way to victory.
Okay, is that it? Okay. Senator?
Great. Thank you again very much, Senator, and KUAM Hafaday. I'm Dennis Rodriguez Jr. First of all, I want to thank again the people of Guam for the opportunity that they've given me to serve in the 31st and 32nd Guam legislature. I'm running for my third term. I want to continue my work on behalf of the people of Guam. I said 3 years ago, Senator, that when I decided to run, there was no specific priority. Only one priority. There was no three. How they ask you, what are your top three priorities? The priority is the people of Guam. It's total Guam. It's about doing the best I could to represent them on any issues that come up. And I hope I haven't let the people down. I'm going to continue to work on their behalf and always keep the best interests of them and their families at heart.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm going to start with you now, since Roland started. And it's something, I'm going to start with something that you guys are very familiar with and passionate as well. Start with healthcare. I think it was a couple years ago where you had some health issues as well that you had to go off island for. But let me come with this: is you are currently the chairman of healthcare here on island. We know the challenges. As I talk to other candidates as well. I used to be vice chair of the Committee on Health as well, and at that time it was referred to. Chairman Senator Mike Cruz at the time referred to the hospital basically as a bucket full of holes. Since then, it was a bucket with no bottom. And so it has now kind of taken over to a degree DOE, where there's a constant appropriation that needs to be had. Recently, the hospital administrator Verga had returned from the Philippines, St. Luke in particular, and talking about a partnership, which is great. We applaud that effort. I'm sure you do, Roland, as well, as one who is a recipient of medical care off island. But the fact remains, again, is we still have a problem of payment and people that are non-payers. We still have to pay for those services. And so the non-payers will probably continue to be non-payers. The payers of the hospital will continue to bear the burden of possibly higher medical costs, because now we're going to have services that were not offered before now coming here. It's going to cost us money. Your solution, I know you've had some solutions, but there still needs to be, I guess, a designated source. Are you willing to sit down now and realistically place everything on the table and say, maybe it's time the government get out of the healthcare business? Senator.
Thank you very much for that question. Just to answer directly the question whether the government should get out of the healthcare business, I say no. Because the government is here, especially for those unfortunate individuals who will never be able to afford healthcare. And so when you say now, when the government gets off, let's say the hospital, for example, it gets off running the hospital, and you turn it over to a for-profit, there's always going to be their bottom line, and their bottom line is always going to be what's in it for them. And so, I don't believe we could let our people down that way. The hospital has its challenges, will always have its challenges, but as we've seen the past few years, is we're trying to plug up those holes that that you referred to earlier, in ensuring that they operate more efficiently and effectively, and also looking at cost containment, but looking at ways to dedicate a dedicated revenue source of funding to the hospital, just like any business, right? They operate. You can't expect the business to continue operating when you go in there and you don't pay for your services or don't pay for the items, and that's what's happening in our hospital. And we're always going to have that. There's going to be people that will just don't have the ability to pay.
Okay, thank you. Roland?
Yes. On that issue, no, I don't support to privatize the hospital. Mainly my concern here, I was once a patient, and it really takes one to understand and know the reality. And the reality is I had to go off island because, of course, I was treated here, and I'm just speaking for myself, but I'm sure many, many and hundreds of patients are going through the same, still having to go off island. And I think because of the lack of Guam Memorial Hospital, one, we don't have much of the physicians that are required, that are needed to give us the attention to our brain and our heart condition, to why we keep going off island, especially our heart is a common problem. And sadly to say, when I got treated at Cedars-Sinai Hospital and also Good Samaritan, my bill was $220,000, and even with that, they required me to pay $6,000 a month. And this is a hospital in Los Angeles, high quality hospital. With all that said, you know, with the Guam Memorial, we must focus and we must find solutions to make it more affordable and bringing the right physicians that are needed at the Guam Memorial Hospital, so that our patients no longer have to go off island.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Roland. Roland, again, we'll start with you with this question. Federal restrictions upon us. I mean, you talk about the cost of your medical services that were provided to you. That's not to count. Again the cost of your airline travel. That's separate and apart from that. Okay. Now, some of the big restrictions that we have, and it's been talked about now, and I'm glad it's being talked about, the Jones Act. Okay, the Jones Act, and when we talk the Jones Act is not just relative to shipping. Jones Act is basically the umbrella for shipping and cabotage laws. So when I'm talking about relieving and getting exemption from the Jones Act, I'm talking about getting a federal relief from both, from airlines and the shipping industry. Your thoughts on that? How would you go about? You worked in my office when I was pursuing an entity of relief there. How would you go about, again, to pressure the delegate, whoever it may be, again, to move towards, again, getting us full exemption from the Jones Act that, to me, has outlived, again, its usefulness, most especially when it comes to us here in Guam? Roland.
Yes, I remember that when you fought in regards to that subject matter, but I think it's going to have to take the entire body of the legislature and also the U.S. House of Representatives of our island, our Congress, to continue to fight to exempt that all these shipping of our goods to provide for our island, hopefully one day that will be more affordable, so that these costs of living that are shipped and through airfare will be less costs of living for us and more affordable. But because of the transportation, the importation of these items, to why the cost of living is very high. But it's going to take the whole body of the legislature to make something like that and exactly happen, and it needs to happen now. We always talk about that same issue over and over, and I hear it at every election, and I've worked for the Guam legislature now 20 years, and I keep hearing it. But I think these kind of things, especially even our health, needs to not only just be talked about, but we must unite together and make it happen.
Okay, thank you. Senator?
Thank you very much. You know, just like with every other federal issue, this is something that we struggle with, whether it be the Jones Act, it be the cabotage laws, or even Obamacare, as it's referred to. We need to ensure that our delegate, right now, and that's what we're doing with Delegate Congressman Berdalio, is working with her. The body has passed several resolutions. I can speak specifically to the healthcare law, the Obamacare. We sent resolutions to the U.S. Secretary, the President, U.S. Congress, and so these are the steps that must continue to happen when it terms in the Jones Act, getting the exemption for the Jones Act, and also the cabotage law. And you worked very hard during your term in the legislature as well. We need to pick up that ball and continue running with it and letting our voices be heard in Congress, because we're not being treated equally, we're not being treated fairly, and a lot of these federal issues must be addressed and resolved.
Well, thank you, Senator. And thank you again for talking about Obamacare, because just yesterday, and I'll start with you now, just yesterday we received, of course, the amicus brief that the administration, and we're talking about the Obama administration, has submitted in regards to the case that Neil Weir and his partners had filed in regards to constitutional citizenship. The Obama administration has put out basically in their brief that the territories, the U.S. territories, are not constitutional citizens, and we've known, but now it's ink to paper pretty much, and has told us as such. And so that being said, Congress can giveth, Congress can taketh away. When you get in again, when you get reelected, or should you get elected, what would you do again to try to move our status closer for us to be more self-deciding on our political status, and likewise to tackle this really solidifying from the Obama administration? Now he's saying you are 100% second-class citizens.
Yeah, I was very bothered by that. You know, I mean, there's always been that notion that we are second-class citizens. We're American citizens. We don't vote for president. A lot of benefits that the first class, if you will, American citizens receive that we don't. And so, to me, it's really offensive, you know, on behalf of the people of Guam, to be able to be told that, to be able to be referred to as second-class citizens, because when it's time for them, when they need us, when they need our people, when they need our lands, especially our brothers and sisters, our sons and daughters who go out there and fight under that American flag, they expect you to do first class, to act like a first class citizen, but then when it comes down to now other benefits, we're considered second class, and that's wrong. And so we got to continue to have one voice, a united voice from our island, and also from the other territories, which we've seen has come about with Obamacare. We have U.S. territories come together and have one voice and speak one voice, and this is what we need to do. And I look forward to be able to continue to do that in the 33rd Guam Legislature if I'm elected again.
Okay, Roland, you got a minute 15.
Yes. Our island, if you study the history, we've been saluting this flag since 1898. And then, of course, we were liberated by the U.S. once again in 1944, and then signed the Organic Act, and we became U.S. citizens. And since then, we have been under that one umbrella, that one flag, the United States of America. So we must remind them and fight and continue to voice as one island, one people, that we are still U.S. citizens, and we are not second class. We are U.S. citizens, period. It is the flag, the same flag that we honor, but we must unite, and we must give the voice of the people of Guam to voice their opinion, but our leaders must unite together and fight all the way to the White House and make it happen that one day we, the people of Guam, as U.S. citizens, vote for president, because we are under the flag of the United States of America. And yes, we are U.S. citizens, as we always been educated and taught, and that's what we stand for, but we must fight and make it happen.
Okay, thank you. Now, military buildup. Going back to 2006, when we first heard of the military buildup, back then we were looking at this onslaught, 8,000, 10,000, not inclusive of families at this point, and then all the workers that might be coming here to Guam. So we're looking at an increase of possibly anywhere from 20 to 30,000 population increase as a result of a military buildup. Well, we know what has happened since. Now that number has decreased, although it's still on the table. Pagat was the preferred site. I'm understanding it still hasn't been taken off the table, so it's still a site to looking at. Now, basically, the preferred site is Rutidian. My question is here: are you in agreement with the amount now, or would you like to increase the number of military buildup, keep it the number that's been talked about now, decrease it even more, or are you in agreement of the firing range to happen over at Rutidian? Roland, we'll start with you.
Well, on the military buildup, I'm actually glad they decreased the amount of soldiers and families, I believe family members, to establish themselves here. Our population growth is growing faster than you think. I mean, just besides the military coming here, we have different ethnics coming and settling our island, and the traffic and the infrastructure. So with all that said, I'm glad they have decreased the military build up on that subject matter. And on the location, I, I, I think it's a very sensitive issue right now, and I think it should be given to the people of Guam to select and vote maybe on a location that will be right for the establishment. With all that said, I just think that I'm very glad that because of our population growth and the traffic and just other areas happening on our island, I can see it happening. I'm just glad that they decreased the amount of population of military coming to establish and settle here on our island.
Okay, thank you. Senator?
Thank you very much. You know, initially when this military buildup was first talked about, this was in when I first decided to run in 2010, I believe. And I was initially against it because, you know, when you look at the impact it's going to have to our community, the large amount of individuals that will be coming here, it would have an impact that, you know, we weren't prepared for. And the federal government wasn't prepared to provide the necessary assistance to ensure that our infrastructure is improved, to ensure that what is improved inside the fence is also improved outside the fence. But since then, we've known that the scale has been decreased, and know that and now that, you know, I support, you know, what they have on the table in terms of what amount of personnel will be coming here, and what type of concessions they have made. So I recognize that. In terms of the firing range as well, I know there was concessions made, you know, by them. There's still some concerns that that our people have. And, you know, ultimately in the end, I know that what is, you know, what will be worked out, you know, based on what I've seen, is that, you know, it'll be worked out where it will be less impact to our people, and that the military buildup in general would provide opportunities for our island in general.
Thank you. We'll go back to you, as Senator. Now, I'm going to ask you the question because both of you are passionate in this area. You as Oversight Chair for Senior Citizens, and Roland, your other part-time job is you deal with a lot of senior citizens as well. So this is something that's your most passionate. And the reason why I'm asking this because a couple weeks ago, or actually it was last week, I had former Speaker Joe T. Sinogsi as my guest. We're talking, of course, war stories. You know, the survivors, war survivors. We're talking most particularly on war reparations. Former Speaker had said, it's not a campaign issue. Nobody really cares. It's not a constituency. There's probably 1,000. Maybe a little more, maybe a little less. So it's not a constituency. Most of us are late 70s, 80s, 90s, and things of that. So they feel as though they're forgotten at this point. A few weeks back, maybe a month back, there was an opinion by a journalist here in Guam that said, hey, look, we've tried everything already, forget it. War reparation, give it up. Don't even try to pursue that. Let's move on. We should be grateful for all the grants that we've been getting and things of that nature over the years. That should suffice. How do you feel about that opinion, that stance on giving it up? And should we give it up? And if we won't give it up, what would you do to help continue to pursue war reparations for our Manancos?
Yes. Well, I've been known not to give up on things. You know, I mean, just like the FQ Sanchez fight, that was one issue. But no, I don't believe we should give up. No matter, even if there's just one last survivor standing, we should continue, because this is war reparations is something that you know, it's not just the amount or the value that would be coming back to this survivor. It's the honor. It's the honor that we'll be bestowing upon them for what they had to suffer during the war. And so we must pursue it, no matter how small the constituency is. The issue is very important. You know, unfortunately, us here locally, all we can really do is stand right there, put it out in the forefront, support our Congress, our delegate, whoever it may be in the future, to ensure that they continue to putting it out there in the forefront in the federal level and fighting for this war reparation.
Okay. Roland?
Yes, you know, our senior citizens, our Manamko, are only a handful that can remember and that actually walk the streets and the roads and the villages, suffering and seeing the death of people, the bombing. And with all this said, there's now just a handful. No, we must not give up, but we must strive, fight, work together with our leaders and our U.S. Congress and continue to fight until one day, with this war reparation, it will never pay their lives of suffering and death, but at least they will get something awarded to them that they have walked and experienced many years ago, and there's only a handful, so it's something that we should strive to do now, because now many of them have passed away. With all that said, in life you never give up, and that's one subject we should never. And we must be proud because these old folks, these senior citizens, we highly respect, walked the streets, saw everything, suffered for us.
Staying on that subject, and Roland, I'll stay with you in that. Let me ask you this: power, water, trash. Maybe most of them have given up paying trash anymore at this point. Everything is going up. Our Manamkos live, most especially retirees. Okay, they live in a very fixed income. Most especially the ones who are still with us, who retired early on. Okay, and at a very low part of the income. Now, we listen. We're hearing about promises that have been made over the years in regards to hay studies and things of that nature, and everyone it looks like the economy is getting there. We're getting to the point where we can make those adjustments. What do you intend to do, Roland, should you be elected, to help the disparity between the very fixed income from years back and look at now the cost of living with power and water, and water and power are becoming luxurious items, and at some point they won't be able to pay for those necessities. What do you intend to do, should you be elected the 33rd Guam legislature, to help bridge that disparity, and help relieve them, and maybe increase some of their annuities that are coming in?
Well, in regards to our senior citizens, well, first of all, on the subject matter of power and water, I think even the young ones are suffering to survive each day. And so right now it's not about age, but for our senior citizens, because of their set income that they're receiving, and
possibly probably can't get a part-time job.
That's right. So with the senior citizens, I've planned to hopefully be able to subsidize in more the healthcare issue, because they are fragile and they go to the doctor more often than when they were young, and of course young ones. So a lot of their costs and expenditures of life right now is health, because they see the doctor almost, if not every day, every other day. So that's one. And the other thing right now that I think that we need to bring back, and also for the future of our young ones when they become seniors, is the old government of Guam plan. A lot of them now have spend their money, and now they're to zero, and now they don't even have any retirement for their future. So that's another issue that we should start thinking of, because one day they will be seniors.
Okay, thank you, Roland. Senator, you got minute 14.
Great. Thank you. The budget we have before us now for the FY 2015 fiscal year, is looking at restoring back the COLA to about $2,000 for our retirees. And so we increased it this year. We're looking to further increase it, to restore it, to what it was in the past. So that's one step. As in my office, we've been looking at ways to see how we can alleviate some of these high costs of power and water for our senior citizens. We've been exploring so many options. As one program we've initiated is a senior discount program. We've last term we had introduced a resolution. We've got a bunch of local businesses that I participated. And if you want to know who they are, you can go to my website at todoguam.com. And these businesses have committed to offer a discount or some sort of service for our senior citizens. But I think in my next term, if I'm blessed to be elected, we're looking at going further. We've been giving out tax credits out for everything else, right?
Mhm.
And we're looking at now a specific initiative that would actually offer a tax credit for services that our manamkus pay for.
Mhm.
If you're a business and you offered some sort of discount or some sort of a lower cost to our senior citizen, then you can claim that against a tax
Mhm.
credit. It's real complicated, but we're working towards it to ensure that we provide the help, because you're right. A lot of these folks are living on fixed incomes. We're going to be there one day. We have parents and grandparents who are experiencing it, and so but that's something that we must pursue, and we are pursuing it today.
Okay, thank you. Senator? Did I ask you that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, you did.
Let me start with you, Senator. This question. You were the only dissenting vote in the medicinal marijuana, and I appreciate the honesty and
Yes.
forward and that, and you didn't waffle in that question. Now that the Supreme Court has ruled that your actions were of your authority, and you always knew that as well, okay? Now that we're having to go to the people, now it looks like well, I mean, I guess there's argument between the Santos Amendment being applicable because supposedly they said it's a referendum, but it is a legislative submission, 50% plus one, blank ballots not counting, or counting as a no vote. Your thoughts, and because I've always thought this, that in the very beginning, and I think you said this as well, that the legislature should have acted on it themselves and voted, and we'll be here, we wouldn't have to deal with a referendum. What would you do if you go in there and if this passes or not? We know this is going to take a lot of money for regulation. It's going to take a lot of money, and it shouldn't just be someone is assigned to do this. It's going to be a division within itself. You have oversight of public health. That's going to have oversight of this. What would you do, again, should be reelected 33rd Guam legislature, should this legislation pass, to help fund this medicinal marijuana, and how fast would you try to get that funding to be able to get that in place for our people, such as the Terlais that had to leave Guam to seek, again, treatment in Colorado?
Well, I think first of all, I want to say that yes, I voted no against the measure to place this on the ballot. And I, as the oversight healthcare chair, I've been very involved and passionate about helping our sick brothers and sisters in the community. And so it's not because I don't want to find a way to relieve pain or to help our sick folks. If you look at this medicinal marijuana, it's such a huge, complicated issue that must have a real good component of regulation, which we don't have, which the law that was passed and going to go before the people, does not include. And the problem here with this, Senator, is that as a legislative submission, if the people vote on it and it passes, we can't do anything. The law says you can't do anything to this law for 2 years. So you can amend it. You can't. If you see something that needs to be done, you cannot do it. The law says if the people vote on a referendum, you cannot touch it for 2 years. And so that's my problem. And so if we were going to put this on and pass this, and we feel this is the right thing to do, we should have done it through the process. Say, okay, we're going to do it, yes or no. Unfortunately, that's not the case. It's going to take a lot more regulation, a lot more education to our people on what this really entails. I mean, public health is swamped with so much duties and responsibilities already. For example, you have the healthy vending machine that we passed, and we can't even get that off the ground. What more medicinal marijuana?
Okay, thank you. Roland?
Yes, on this subject matter, I know
Minute
it's
15.
I know it's a sensitive issue happening right now, but I support it if it's, of course, needed for health conditions and prescribed by a doctor. But on the subject matter of the referendum, and I think to save taxpayers' money, it should have been just taken care directly upon the body of the legislature, and to save taxpayers' money having to go through referendum and then having to find out or seek the funds in regards again for the ballot. With all this said, for the voting by the people of Guam. With all this said, it is a sensitive issue, but if it's required that the person needs to survive any medication prescribed by a physician to save someone's life, then of course indeed I support it. When I had an open heart surgery, whatever medication they gave me to carry on and to recover, just give me, and indeed I'm here sitting with you, and I'm alive.
Relieve me of my pain.
Yes,
there you
yes.
go.
So with all that said,
Yeah,
yes.
well, thank you, and I'm glad both of you agree in the fact that the legislature take care of this. And I agree. I agree, but this is the legislature's way of washing its hands. Let's do it so that I won't be tagged with, the pros or the cons, either one. But I'm glad that when you get in there, that you're going to have the cojones to be able to deal with issues, however difficult they may be. Thank you very much for that. We come to the end, but again, talk to the people. Tell them your name, what side of the ballot you are, your number, and what will be the first thing you do should you be elected to the 33rd Guam Legislature. Roland?
Buenas Mananas Sizuus, buenas todos samzu, Tautau Guam. Good morning to our beautiful island and our people. As I always believed in one God, I am Roland Blas. With my faith, I will carry on if you give me that opportunity and a seat in the next Guam legislature. I am working hard, striving, and by my experience, and I have gained the knowledge, the wisdom, the compassion, and having the passion for you, the people of Guam, in all issues. I will do my best to stand in that Guam legislature, if given that opportunity, to fight for the rights of the people of Guam, for Chamorros and all Guamanians. But as I always said, as I speak at all the pocket meetings, reminding people that in that Guam legislature, it is not about the party affiliation, religion, or ethnic. It is only two flags that stand in the Guam legislature, one on your left, one on your right, the United States of America and the Guam flag that symbolizes all of us. And I am ready to serve you as one island, one people. And Jesse Lujan here used to be my boss. And indeed, I've worked for him. And with all that said, I am proudly now to become your next senator. I am number 6 on the Republican side. Roland Blas from the beautiful village of Zonia to serve all of you as one island, one people. Biba Guam, Sizu Usmasi.
Thank you, Senator. You got a minute 30. My plug cost you 5 seconds.
Great. Thank you again very much to you, Senator Lujan, and to KUAM, and to the people of Guam for the opportunity to be here this morning. I want to just say again, I've been working on your behalf, the people of Guam, and I want to continue to work on your behalf. There are many issues that we face. Healthcare is one that I have taken up passionately to ensure that our only civilian hospital is a hospital that remains standing, because we cannot let our people down, especially those of our people who are unfortunate and can never afford to pay for healthcare services, in our public hospital or even in any private hospital. And so I ask you, the people of Guam, again, to please vote for me this coming August 30th. I'm number 10 on the Democratic side of the ballot. Maniluhus and Maninahu, Guahu, si Dennis Rodriguez Jr., candidato para senador. Por favor, vota número 10, Gibalotu. Hagu Toru Guam, Guahu Toru Guam, Hagu Toru Guam, Hami Toru Guam, Sidus Masi, God bless you and God bless Guam.
That totally hit my Thank you very much for that. I appreciate that. But good luck, Senator Roland. Good luck again. Thank you very much. Tomorrow morning, join me. We'll continue, of course, the candidate buzz here. My in-studio guest will be incumbent Senator Republican Tommy Morrison and senatorial candidate Democrat Derek Boshill. That's tomorrow morning right here on the Candidate Buzz. You can view this tonight as well at 7:30 on local channel 2. It'll be highlighted on KUAM primetime at primetime news, of course, 6 to 6:30. It'll be available on our KUAM YouTube channel about 10:30, 11 o'clock this morning. And tomorrow afternoon, 2 p.m., you can watch the rebroadcast of this recorded show. It's goodbye, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.